So, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday the 19th and 1 Million Cups live here. So, for those of you, if this is your first time joining us for 1 Million Cups, this is something that happens every Wednesday, same time, 9 a.m. in whatever time zone they are in, where we get together as entrepreneurs and business owners to help each other and give guidance. So, if you don't know much about us, very quickly, we are part of the Kaufman Foundation, and they work with communities and entrepreneurs and education to increase opportunities, allowing all people to learn and take risks towards their own success. So we are a national and a local mission. We work towards this mission through creating a consistent educational experience for each 1MC presenter nationwide, while also highlighting the uniqueness and value proposition in each of the local startup communities. Now, like any organization, we have our pillars, right? Our 4 pillars are presentations, not pitches. We are not here to give away money as much as we might like to. We believe in authentic connections, not networking. We look at ourselves more as a mastermind group, more so than a networking group. We are run for the community, by the community. We are all volunteers. Everyone pitches in. And we are radically and intentionally inclusive. So, as we like to do, we'd like to welcome all our new visitors. If this is your first time joining us here, please go ahead and raise your hand. And when called on, go ahead and share your name, your company name, and how you heard about us. So do we have anybody new in the room? Adam, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Adam DeGaudio. I'm calling from just south of Raleigh, North Carolina. Don't have a company. I have a raw business idea, but I'm currently in a fellowship program with Dog Tag in DC and doing courses at Georgetown. Jen Dalton, want to extend the invitation to. She's one of our instructors. So really just kind of observing and learning more about everybody in the group and the organization. Thank you.
So did I just do that on mute, that whole thing on mute?
No, that was me. Sorry about that. I wasn't trying to mess with you, I promise.
I was like,
James,
oh my God. Sorry, I was
think
freaking out for a second.
I think Marissa raised her hand also.
Marissa, go ahead.
Yes, there's the formal hand raise. All right. My name is Marissa Powers. I introduced myself earlier, but I guess we'll formally do it now. Company name is Powers Health and Wellness. And I heard about 1 Million Cups looking for networking opportunities in the area. So I was excited to come across this one. Thank you.
Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Anyone else in the room? Nope. Good.
Elon, do you want to introduce yourself? I know you did earlier.
Yeah, sure. I'm Elon Becker. I'm the founder of the Concierge Account, which is a boutique bespoke tax company or financial advisory services firm. I'm an enrolled agent, admitted to practice for the Internal Revenue Service.
Welcome, Elon. Anyone else? Cool. All righty. So one of the things we like people to do, if you guys wouldn't mind, is actually to check in. You can do it using the QR code you can see on the screen. Don't worry if you miss it, right? We'll be showing it later on. But this kind of helps the community kind of track how many attendees we're getting on a weekly basis. Helps Jen for an argument for new swag, which is always good. So if you have a second, grab that QR code, go ahead and register or check in. Thank you. As we said, this is run by the community for the community. And to make that happen, we have an organizing team and a group of ambassadors. And this is the motley crew on the screen right now. So you will see later on that there's an opportunity for you if you wish to become an organizer in the 1MC Fairfax chapter. But yeah, we're all hands-on. Everyone has a job. We all do a thing. And we like to spread the workload, spread the wealth. But yes, nothing happens in a vacuum. It takes a team to pull this off on a weekly basis. So we have a couple of sponsors. I'm going to ask Jen to talk about Mason Enterprise Center for a second, if you don't mind, Jen.
Absolutely. So the Georgia Mason Enterprise Center is where we meet the first Wednesday of every month. It is a fantastic business incubator and a growth opportunity for business owners who maybe need virtual membership, but to be able to pop in and use a training room or a boardroom. If you need physical office space, they're a fantastic location just built out in the last few years. The other thing I would say that's unique about the incubator, they have dedicated mentors. They have over 20 mentors now. They keep growing their mentorship team. So if you are looking to grow your business, please reach out to Eddie Hill. He will also be at our in-person meeting the first week of the month. They are a fantastic group to collaborate with. They also have a lot of programming going on too. So if you're interested in learning about exit planning or networking for business owners, all of these things are coming up on their calendar March, April, and May. So I'll drop a link to their website in chat. And with that, I'm going to have James talk about 48 Blocks Fine Candy.
Which I should know off the top of my head. So Amy Hughes is one of our organizers, and she is our coffee sponsor for this month. So 48 Blocks Fine Candy, Marshmallows and More is Amy's company. It's an amazing thing she does. If you've got a sweet tooth, this is the place you want to go check out. But Amy's an incredible person, and yeah, does a lot for the 1MC community. So check out 48 Blocks Fine Candy on the website. And if you get a chance, I think you can go pop in and see her if you're around. She's just opened up this brand new facility that's pretty cool. So let's talk about how the meetings work. Really simple, guys. We're going to have our presenter come along and spend 10, 15 minutes talking about our company. We're going to move into a Q&A session where we get a chance to either ask questions or give some guidance or advice. We ask that you keep your microphone on mute. Put your hand up using the menu bar at the bottom of your screen, and then we'll unmute you and you can go ahead and ask your question. We do ask, obviously, that you just keep your questions concise and to the point. We don't want rambling like I'm doing right now. And so just, yeah, keep it concise so we can get through as many questions as we can and give the presenter the best help that we can. So I am now going to hand it over to our presenter for this morning. And yeah, we're excited. This I've seen the presentation. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So Melissa, would you like to jump in and introduce yourself and do your presentation?
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for taking the time out early morning. I like to say get your coffee and information, the start of your day. So I'm Melissa Jake, CEO and founder of Rescue Event Planning, and we've been operating for 10 years now. We just turned 10 February 4th, and so we've gone through that threshold. And we've gone through COVID, and so I call this COVID Part 2 without the illness. And so this leads me right into my challenge question. So given the current disruption in the federal funding, many events have been canceled or postponed or just placed on hold. So what event opportunities should I consider to diversify my client base and innovate a new need for business owners or associations? So a little bit about us. Most people think, oh, event planners, weddings, baby showers. No, we do a lot other things. So we make sure we take the biggest vision of either an association, a nonprofit, a corporation, and we turn it into an elegant, stress-free, well-organized, unique event. And I put the key unique in there because I like to be different than others, and so do my clients. So we make sure we're striving to have one client, one event, one experience at a time. My clients coined me the Olivia Pope of live events. So we've added the tagline, consider it handled. If you have not watched Scandal, then definitely go to Netflix and binge because it is a great series. But as her, we come in and make sure that your events are handled from top to bottom. So here's my company timeline. We started in February 4th, 2015. Out of the need of people kept coming to me, and my husband really pushed me, you should start the business. I was always the one after college, oh, I'm having a baby, I'm having a wedding, I'm starting a business. Can you help me pull this event off? Event planning has been in my bones probably since high school. We went to a small high school in Tacoma Park, Maryland, and I was graduation chair. And since it's a small private school, we did 3 different events throughout the weekend. And so I chaired that whole thing. In college, I became SGA president and was very involved in student government. And that year that I was president, our president of the university was retiring, and a new president who's still now there was coming in. So we had a really big tour of lots of events, learned a lot about government funds. Someone who was 21 years old had $500,000 exposed to themselves. I learned a lot about budgeting and being able to utilize it properly. And so then we've been doing events since then. And my first event was probably February 28th of 2015. When did we start selling our first services? That was the first one. And that really kicked it off. After year 1, we did about 3 or 4 events. Year 2, we did about 16 to 20 events. By year 3, we're rolling into about 30 to 40 events. And year 5 was COVID. So we had to pivot. So we did a lot of virtual events and really taking on realtors and showing them how your first time home buyer webinars or seminars that we do in person can go into webinar form. And definitely we all know the real estate business boomed during COVID. So that definitely helped us stay afloat. We operate mainly in the DMV area. However, due to COVID, we did grow to clients in LA, Houston, Atlanta, Bahamas, and New York. So we do nationwide as well. If our clients love us, we'll go. So what our business solves is many nonprofits and government agencies, they struggle to align their events with larger goals: fundraising, brand awareness, employment engagement, employment retention, and policy influence. So we help them create measurable results. My background is in social work, macro social work. So I'm really big in analytics and statistics. So I love to put those together with events to say how many people registered, how many people came in, and what is our ROI, what's our goal. I always ask each client that at the end, at the beginning of the process, what is going to be our goal? What do you want to obtain? So that your ROI is speaking, whether that's financially or that is in growth of making sure your brand exposure is there. So through that, some people have done fostering, networking events, business growth. They put that in their business growth development plan. And we think of things that are out of the box that's innovative. We go to a lot of networking events. We go to a lot of different type of galas. But what makes your event stand out? That is different, and that's going to get that brand recognition and people starting thinking about you in a different way. So we're going to describe how we generate revenue. So our main money maker is full-time event planning and execution. So that's our primary source. We do flat fee models. Some other event firms do bi-hourly, but we do flat fee models. And that's mainly for our corporate events, nonprofit, fundraising, associations, government agencies, social and private events. So that's from your weddings, milestone celebrations, summits, procurement briefings, galas, donor engagement, fundraising, and networking and branding activations and conferences. Our second revenue is from event advisory and strategy services. So a lot of people may not know this, but they may not be able to afford fully the team coming out, taking on the fully event. So they then want to just kind of consult in a sense. And so we're using more of the word advisory, giving our terms versus consult. So if you hear me say that, that's what that kind of means. And so we basically be able to help them find vendors that we use, being able to help them budget, giving them some marketing strategies on how to get butts and seats, I call it, and then how to make your event different. But we're then not in person. We're helping their team get there through that strategy. So our value proposition, what do we offer? Full services, advisory, consulting, and crisis management, that last minute solution. rescue, it is exactly what it means. We have come in 30 days before, 2 weeks before for a gala last November, and pulled it all together. So that's that crisis management. We thought we had it, Melissa, but we really didn't. And so we're able to do that. Our ideal clients are corporate clients, executives, nonprofit organizations, high achieving social clients, influencers, startups, folks who are looking for experimental marketing, because you could put this as a part of your marketing budget, and associations. Something that is unique that, again, we do strategic impact driven events. We do have that crisis management a part of us. Full service, high touch. We are always with our clients throughout the day, whether we are meeting virtually or it is through our system called Asana. That's how we do our project management tool. And then we're making sure that we have diverse experience in the industry. And what makes us totally different is that we're just not doing decor. We're doing more than that. We're just not doing logistics. We are making sure your event, from when your potential client is walking in the door to when they're leaving, they don't really want to leave. They're like, is the event really over? And making sure that there's that follow-up. What's that CTA at the end of the event? So that there's a good pipeline for you and your potential clients. Our target audience. So you talked about that. We have some corporations, executives, nonprofits, high achieving social influencers, and those who are looking for those experimental marketing for events. What companies or organizations could benefit from partnering with us? There's some ideas of brand and lifestyle brands, beverages, tech startup companies trying to get into the space. We've had folks who, there's a company out of PA, they are starting an app. And so they wanted to do app launches in different major cities. So those are some ideas of tech startup companies. Law firms, if you're in different types of law, whether it's family law, estate law, getting folks understanding your full wealth of what you offer. Nonprofits, of course, but hospitality and event vendors, a lot of them kind of sleep on this, that they can host open houses at their event space. And of course, having a whole team associated with your venue helps your venue kind of stand out than others. And then media partners and influencers, it's always good to get your home base meeting regularly in person. And marketing channels that we use LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, email marketing, and I am a part of a BNI group. So those are our ways that we use our marketing channels. Our competitors, so I put 3 there, but there's probably more out there, but these are ones that stick out to me more. JD Events, they are located in the DC area. They follow more of a process-driven structure approach where we thrive on customization, engagement, and innovation. So that's what makes us kind of different from them. Honey and Lavender Events, they excel in personalization for more weddings and social events. They do not seem to touch too much of your corporate side, so more on those personalized wedding and social events. And then Stats Q event, they do some corporate side. However, they are more on the high-end luxury multicultural events, mainly in weddings, but they do touch some corporate, where we kind of do all. Most people are like, are you going to niche down? I don't really think in this time of our lives we're going to niche down. COVID has taught me that keeping your doors open can make sure that you're able to pivot quickly. And back to our challenge question. So that's what we're facing. In the end of February, I've gotten a lot of phone calls from potential nonprofits who have lost funding due to what is going on in the disruption of the federal government. Some other corporations are like, well, let's pause because we don't know how the economy is going to do. So due to that disruption, how can I diversify my client base and innovate on a new need that may be needed now?
Awesome. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
So we are going to open up to Q&A and guidance. As I said, please keep it concise so we can get through the questions. Jen, John, who is managing the Q&A?
I am, because Melissa's my friend. And she did such a great job preparing. Hopefully she's given everybody context about the kind of work rescue event planning does. And what we'll do now is transition into Q&A. You can ask questions to clarify. You can give insights, feedback. But now is a great opportunity just to help her through this challenge question. And we've already got a winner, Tammy Miller. Good to see you again. Feel free to unmute and ask away.
Sure, it's more of a clarification. In your presentation, you mentioned that you focus only on DMV, but you also have clients in like California. Do you usually go out there to work with them, or is everything virtual?
We do go out there to work with them in person. It
Oh,
started off virtual due to COVID, but they kept us on.
okay. Yeah, that's the only question I had.
Great question. Thank you, Tammy. Deborah.
Thank you, Jen. Melissa is also a friend of mine, so thrilled to be here this morning. But one of the things that caught my attention, Melissa, is when you put up the slide of your competition. And do you partner with them, or have you tried to form a strategic alliance with them? They've got to be struggling with some of the same things that you're going through. So maybe it's an opportunity to be able to do some partnerships. I'm just thinking so that you at least can keep revenue coming in, and it could open up some additional doors.
No, really great idea.
Thank you, Deborah. And Reggie Holmes.
Hi, Melissa. Good to see you. Two things that I thought about. You had mentioned your university experience, and so I think reaching out to universities, they're going to always be trying to get students to come. They host events for students, for parents, and I think they're looking at innovative ways to get people on campus, to get people engaged in what's going on campus. They usually have. I used to work for university, and they have campus events. They usually have a leader and students, but they could be looking for professionals to help them kind of up level the experiences that they do to add professional quality to it. And then I also thought about authors, people that are producing books, maybe music. They still need to get their content out there, to get their offerings out there, and everybody is looking for something unique and different to be able to stand out. So and they're not in the federal government, so those are two other things to look at.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Reggie. Melissa helped me with my book launch, so highly recommend. That's a great avenue for sure. John Rittenberg.
First, do you know Michael Butera? He often attends. Michael is a nonprofit specialist who lives in Columbia, Maryland. So, in fact, you could easily meet for coffee. We'll make that intro.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah, he's often comes to 1 Million Cups and, again, is focused on strategic planning with nonprofits, trade associations. So, the second is targeting the Fortune 5,000. The largest companies. Many of their earnings are pretty darn strong.
Mm-hmm.
And while, yes, the economy may be getting challenged, it's only a little thing not to worry about. It's all part of our adjustment, so we're not toxic in the future. So a quote unquote, right? But
Yeah.
The Fortune 5,000, I think, grab one or two of those could have tremendous ROI.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Thank you, John. James Lawson.
Melissa, just for clarification, if you don't mind, and I'm not looking for dollar numbers.
Yeah.
How much of the federal government space was your actual business? Like, is it half? Is it 10? I'm trying to get a sense of the impact.
No, great question. It's about 30%.
So 30% in revenue is coming out federal government.
Correct.
Right. So one of the things that you might again, think about is part of your business is also consulting and strategic advisory services. If it's me, perhaps maybe I play a little bit more into that, right? Where people are looking to put on events still, but don't have the wherewithal to pay for a full-time group, but helping them maximize the impact of the thing they're actually doing. And the only reason I'm bringing, I did this with a client some years ago, Melissa, where we actually shifted our business more from doing the whole execution more into consulting, which works if you don't have a really big staff, right?
Yeah.
But you need revenue to pay people. So I kind of get there's a balance. But you may want to think more about that, especially for some of these kind of mid-sized companies who really want that consultation service. And by the way, it might also lead to something else where they actually bring you in to do the execution as well.
Right.
So to me, that's just more a slight change in how you promote yourself and what you're looking for. But that might be an avenue worth looking at.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, James. Jay-Z, welcome. Good to see you.
Oh, thank you, Jen. And for the speaker, I was curious if there's job placement or skills retraining for these government officials, and if you could create that, instead of kind of ignoring them, but they have like 9 months severance. So they do have money to get your help in figuring out if they're going to stay in the area, if they're going to change their skill set. So I'm curious if you think they would be a good ICP instead of ignoring them. And I could be totally wrong. I often am.
No, I mean, that's definitely a different, that's that unique out of the box thinking, especially if they're going to transition to, they're transitioning to something else and helping them figure it out. I don't know if that is more, they need a business coach or a branding coach more. And within that, then they can do events. I don't know if I'm their first stop coming out of the federal government.
Yeah, so maybe you partner with those business coaches, the SBDC, and but you should also get on the stage and talk about COVID and how you were flexible in transitioning your business and how you stayed vigilant or persistent, all the skills that you have and being creative in a time of like need.
Yeah, I appreciate that for sure.
And I do think, Jay-Z, one of the things Melissa and I were brainstorming last week was if she ran an event for several cyber technology firms for recruiting, you could do like a job fair event, which sort of builds on the idea you're talking about, where you find the industry that's not being disrupted, and cyber security is of the industries around us, very stable, and there's still a huge talent gap, millions of jobs still open. And so there's definitely something there for sure.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I think that's a really cool career, right? That's not going anywhere.
Right.
In fact, it's growing. So that's great to hear that confirmation, Jen. Thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Don Foster, you're muted.
And yeah, somebody put me on mute. Melissa, we're not friends yet, but I guess we will be. Appreciate what you have to say and what you're doing. I'm curious, where do you find most of your clients come from now?
It is for my 24 books, it is client referral.
Okay.
So most people find me at other events, or if they're talking to their home base, my name comes up. Second is BNI, and then third is Google. So
Okay.
that's the top three there.
Okay, great. One other thing I just have to throw in, because there are a couple things you could do with regards to LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to chat with you about that.
Perfect. I appreciate it.
Joe Bradford.
Melissa, you probably already thought about this, but just staying in touch with your network of federal clients or people that have been displaced or maybe took the package that have had a good experience with your event, planning to stay in touch with them and use them to network with the companies they've gone to generate, additional event planning with you.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, so one thing I would throw out there is to think about for the companies who are trying to do return to work. how do you make a proposal around a series of events that drive employee retention and engagement that are meaningful? So when they're back in the office, that goes off without a hitch. And leaders aren't usually dedicating enough headspace, honestly, to deliver a great event. They're just like, you must get back to the office. But I think whether it's employee town halls or engagement events once a quarter, whatever that looks like, I think there is an opportunity to look at for that for companies who do care
Yeah.
as well. And just for clarification for the group, you're also looking for events, I mean, of pretty distinct size. It could be a huge conference. I know I've gone to galas where you've run the gala and there's 600 people in attendance, but I also know you've done amazing vision board workshop for me and 14 people. That was really amazing and people still talk about. So does size matter as far as scope and scale or timing? What are you really looking for right now?
Yeah, size does not matter. It's more on the full planning perspective. So we've done, board retreats, 3-day board retreats for nonprofits or associations to like Jen's idea of bringing potential clients in the room, doing vision board experience where we had a sommelier in there talking about different wines that was women's own. So we can definitely scale to different events.
And I think crafting unique events for client engagement or building on Joe's point, how do you re-engage your clients and your network, inviting them to informal curated experiences? I think people value connecting right now, not necessarily just being talked to.
Yeah.
James.
So it brings up an interesting point when you're talking about doing like retreats, for associations. So you might want to think about joining association. I mean, a lot of these associations, you don't need to be that technical aspect to get in. So like the Virginia Association Chamber of Commerce Executives, for instance, like you can join that for like $100, right? And you get access to all the chamber executives. So they're all running strategic planning or board retreats, whatever. Same with MACE, which is the Maryland version, right? Association of Chamber Executives. So these associations could potentially be a place where if you get for a small fee, like a few $100, Melissa, you get yourself into and accessing the people that actually make decisions. So I mean, if that's a thing and it's helpful for you to do those types of things and it fits into your brand or into your process, to me, that's just like an easy win.
Yeah, that's really smart.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
I try to say smart things occasionally.
Not occasionally it works. Don Rudenberg.
So, Melissa, what percentage of your business is for individuals, whether it's weddings or personal stuff versus corporate?
Now we're probably about 20% is personal. More on the nonprofit and government agencies took up majority of that. So I'll say we're probably about 20% now.
Well, I just wonder whether in these next couple of years, a pivot to luxury. The wealthiest people don't really stop spending.
Right.
And whether it's the fanciest clubs that are worth getting to know. And I could imagine that, well, customers can be a pain in the rear end regardless of whether they're corporate or individual.
Correct.
I'm sure. But I believe the high-end luxury is an area that will continue to be strong.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Thank you, John. Reggie Holmes, back again.
Yeah, I was thinking about having some kind of after event action plan. People like not everybody's gonna hire you for their event, but they can hire you to review their event. And if you can show people how they could have done their event better or more efficiently, I think that's valuable, right? Because everybody in this environment is trying to save money, and there are certain events that happen every year. You know, I have clients that they have a conference every year, and they probably been doing it the same way with the same vendors for, you know, just because it's convenient, it's easy,
Yeah.
but it might not be the best way. And I think with your experience and background, you can look at numbers, you can look at the spend, and you can tell where they can better maximize their dollars and have a better experience. So I think offering that as a service is valuable to your audience. And then, you know, if people are just willing to you know, you give them some kind of plan, like maybe you create a checklist, or, you know, it probably have to be a little bit more robust than a checklist, but
Yeah.
something that allows people to do their own after action review and see it, you know, hear what they made mistakes or they could have done better. And then that makes you a valuable resource as an advisor, even if they didn't think of going with you at first. So those are a couple ideas.
I really like that. Thank you.
Melissa, Deborah is next. Then I'll come back.
Well, what Reggie said kind of piqued my curiosity in that maybe there's a way that you can start to put together content. And whether it's, you know, just content of, you know, purchasing a manual or purchasing a process of here's how you can do your own event. Ultimately, of course, you want to be able to do the event. But since people are looking to reduce their cost across the board, that may be a way to continue to generate additional revenue if you've got something that you can sell, which is more like static content.
Love that.
Melissa, one of the things we talked about, and it's building on Reggie's idea and Deborah's idea, is producing content that is relevant to event planners right now, or people who run events for companies like holiday events, things like that. How do they lock in pricing for the year so the tariffs don't impact them? How do they build an event calendar to minimize that type of expense risk? So going back to the advisor word, cost reduction, event efficiency, those are all things that I think will matter, even if you're trying to bid on government work, but also externally to companies as well. Like, don't give up on events. It's important to be visible and stay top of mind. But here's some, you know, if you want to discuss ways to reduce risk and minimize price changes because of tariffs, etc., reach out for a consult. So I think providing that easy way for people to engage and give them those specific ideas of why they should talk to you. All right, James Lawson.
Clarification question. Melissa, your team, when you do execution, is your team like 1099 or are they full-time employees?
They are 1099.
Right. So you can push and pull as you need.
Yep, I have up to about 20 folks I can pull in for an event.
Okay. So there's opportunity for your business to be just something that Melissa does without needing to pull other people in. Right?
Yes. Yeah, I smile because the clients then really, I try this a lot and clients really want Melissa there. They feel comfortable. I have to get better at that of introducing a team member earlier on. We've done 3 events in one day, so it has happened.
Right.
But
I'm not talking about events. I'm talking about creating a revenue stream that's high in terms of profitability that you can do, right? And just bear with me on this.
Sure,
right?
go ahead.
Why is there an opportunity for you to go and coach other event companies on how to build an event company where you can charge 10, 15, 20K for an engagement? It only relies on you to coach them through a process, right?
Yeah.
And that creates a revenue stream. It doesn't. That's why I'm saying we're people full-time employees, because if that's the case and you've got to do event, you've got to pay them.
Yeah.
But if they're 1099, it's push and pull. You'll need to bring them in for an event. But there's things that you can do using your skill set where you can generate revenue for you in your life and your business that doesn't include putting on or executing an event.
Right. Gotcha.
Right? that's kind of where I was going with that.
Okay.
And by the way, that's a huge market, by the way. It's massive.
Yeah.
Massive. So just a thought.
Thank
Marissa,
you.
I saw you had your hand raised. Did you have a follow-up?
I was just wondering if I know there's some talk about like opportunities and expanding. It sounds like a lot of your clients are having events or they want to have events, and you're there to help them execute that. But I'm wondering if there's also a market for in my past where businesses are approached with opportunities for events and they say no because they don't have the capacity or they don't know how, or they don't know the resources. So it sounds like you would have the ability to just say yes to opportunities for events. Does that make sense?
I think so.
But I think we got the question or idea.
If you say it again, make sure I'm fully understanding.
Yes, so for you, it sounds like you would also have the ability to help companies who might have an opportunity to host an event. So I was with Nordstrom for 10 years, and we would have a lot of people come to either our restaurant or different departments wanting to host different events. And a lot of people would say no. And, my idea is like, no, find a way to say yes. You need the sales, you need the visibility. So for somebody like you to be a resource to like, oh, what Melissa will help us, help us figure out how to say yes to doing this.
Gotcha. Were restaurants saying no, they didn't want to host someone
Whether they're understaffed or they don't want to close half of the restaurant, or they don't want to open outside operating hours. And it would just be silly stuff where, my mindset was always to just say yes, but you hear people saying no, but maybe they just need that extra support.
Yeah.
Somebody who can hold their hand and make it happen.
Yeah.
Or show them it's possible.
Like Melissa, to Marissa's point, people may have beliefs or assumptions about how expensive it is to hire an event company.
Yeah.
And you have a big price range depending on the size of the event. And so maybe even clarifying that, hey, a small event might actually be in your budget, right? Don't assume that it's not. The value of delegating an event to be run by someone so that CEO or business owner can focus on being present at the event, can focus on having the right conversations, and not be worried about the event running well, I think is a big piece. I do have a startup I'm working with right now. They want to do a series of events over the next 90 days as they launch. So I'll be reaching out to you to talk to you about that. But I think there still are lots of startups growing. And so even having a package around, hey, do you need to build awareness about your business? Have you just launched? That would be interesting just to think about some of these niche proposal ideas that you could push out on LinkedIn. You could write about, speak about. I think it'd go a long way. Sometimes people just forget, oh yeah, I could get help for this. And I do fall into this bucket. To your point, it's not a wedding. It's not, it's a get together the right people for high quality interactions.
Yeah.
John Rudenberg.
Just as you were talking, venture capitalists, private equity firms, they have not only the capital to do it, but they also have the launches.
Yeah.
And certainly in the DMV, there are still companies who do that business, let alone New York, California, etc.
Yeah.
That focus there.
And you've also done like virtual road shows too, Melissa, right? Where if a leader needs to do events cross country but can't physically justify, you can do big virtual road shows for companies and make a big event of it, right? So there are ways to do things that are cost effective and work for companies right now who really need to either build sales and or keep their people.
Yeah, absolutely. We've done that virtually and in person, a tour.
That's interesting. I'm just wondering, like, for lots of people who are either expanding or growing, and maybe it is the Fortune 5000 Rutenberg mentioned earlier, but how do you do a virtual tour? How do you attract talent? That could still even be something for universities to do. But this idea of creating a virtual event where you're taking people through a space, showing them the team, showing them, if it's universities, the faculty. I don't know. There's something to be said for how do you create connection virtually that sometimes people really just miss out on.
Yeah.
People have this perception that Zoom doesn't work or virtual doesn't work, and yet there's so much you can do virtually. That's interesting. All right. Any other last questions or ideas or thoughts for Melissa? You've done fantastic today. Thank you for joining us. Like I said, we will share the chat shortly in chat so folks who are attending can download it. But great having you here. Thank you so much. And with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Lawson.
Awesome stuff, Melissa. That was a lot of fun. So our final question, as always, is what can our 1 Million Cups community do to help you with today? Anything more?
Yeah, so definitely connections to decision makers. Seems like Fortune 500 executives, those associations, definitely. You mentioned the one in Virginia and Maryland, that would be great. Brand managers, those who think they may not need an event planner, but realize they probably do.
For sure, for sure. So, thanks again. So next week's presenter could be you. Do you want to present yourself and your company to 1 Million Cups? Let us know. Some upcoming events. And I think, Jen, you're going to copy paste these into the chat, right? So there's some links here that you can use to go and check these out. I don't know if there's anything on here specifically that anyone wants to highlight. Referral BNI tomorrow, 7:30, 9 a.m. Talk to Jen Dalton, as always. So our presenter schedule going forward. We have next week, virtual open. April 2nd is a hybrid meeting, guys. So that's when we do some via Zoom, and we also meet in person over at George Mason. On April 9th, we have Chris Shrum from School of Mitchell coming back. Now, Chris presented here some weeks ago, maybe 3 months ago. And we always encourage our presenters to come back after a period of time to tell us how they've got on, if they've actually executed on anything we've told them. And the ones that don't come back are people usually that haven't. So we'd like you to come back and just tell us how you're getting on. And then April 16th, virtual, GZ is going to be on stage here doing her thing. And then we've got a couple of virtual open slots. So listen, if you're interested in presenting, let us know, and we will get you on the docket very simply. We like to share the word. So again, the QR code on the slide, if you can, go in there, help spread the good word about what we're doing on social media. We like to get more people to our events. This is one of the ways that we do it, and we would love your help to make that happen. I spoke earlier about how, nothing happens in a vacuum. We have a fairly decent size organizing team. Really skilled people. But if you want to join us and come in and pitch in and do some stuff and get visibility, build your leadership skills and collaborate and do some marketing and coaching, you can do all that here. It's an amazing place. Just put me in the chat, and we'll set up a conversation. And if everyone thinks you're worthy, we might let you in. So listen, Melissa, thank you again. Great presentation. I think you're going to walk away with more things you can ever handle, right, in terms of execution. Don't worry, we're going to help you get all that put together and make it really succinct, so you've got at least a plan that you can work to. But there's a lot of opportunity still, so I wouldn't get too stressed about the federal government. Still lots of people putting on events. We just got to go find them, right? But thanks again for your time and your presentation. Really appreciate it. Stick around if you guys want to chit chat, and we are done for